Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, yes, I hope I'm audible. Yeah, I trust that I'm audible. I did test my mic, so I do trust that I'm audible. Right, it's a beautiful Monday. It's very cold. It's a very beautiful Monday, but it is fine. So, guys, tomorrow, right, your test will be up online. You'll be able to take it and actually do it. And then having your test being online tomorrow, your test being online tomorrow, you'll have the, yes, so having your test being online tomorrow, then what happens is from your side is that how do I say this? From your side is that we'll only start doing corrections from it's from Thursday. Thursday we do corrections, Friday we do corrections. So Wednesday then we just start back to term 3. So I hope everyone is ready. I hope everyone is happy. I hope everyone is okay. I hope everyone is enjoying their time. I know it's cold and chilly, but it's fine. So what we're doing today is just we're doing test preparation for the week. And doing test preparation, we're looking at fractions. Just one more thing that we're adding to it, fractions, especially the part about addition and subtraction of fractions. That's the part I want to overemphasize with you guys. We're looking at addition and subtraction of fractions. That's one thing you should know. One thing you should also know for tomorrow is representing a fraction. Right? Are we together? So you should also know how to represent a fraction. That's not going to be challenging. That's what I know. That it's not going to be very hard to represent a fraction, to show why a fraction is a fraction, why this and that is a fraction. That will not, it's not going to be very, 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 very difficult. But I would need from you guys to make sure that you understand the part about addition and subtraction of fractions. It's the only way it's going to work out for both of us, is that if you guys understand that part and you're able to do it. Because right now, the lesson that we're going to have is that we're going to look at everything as a whole, right? We're going to look at everything as a whole. And then after that, after looking at everything as a whole, then we're going to actually go and look at how do we actually address this question by question. How do we actually navigate around everything? Right. Because that's it. You know, especially when it comes to the fraction part, you need to know how you navigate around everything and how you represent everything. But I just wanted to touch on addition and subtraction of fractions today. I thought we would go also to multiplication, but we have not been, I don't think time will allow us. But also it gives you a time also to think about, as well as anything we have. For example, right now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What challenges do you find, right? What challenges do you find when you are dealing with everything? Let's look at all the stuff we've done so far. Here's my email address and my Twitter handle. But let's look at everything we've done so far. Which ones give you problems? Let's talk about that quickly. which ones give you problems here? Then we'll go to the other parts. Hello? 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 All right. Hello?
Hello, Sam.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you, Sam?
I'm good. So the question was, which concepts over there actually give you a challenge? Which concepts they actually give you a bit of a problem?
It's fractions and word problems.
So you have a problem with the word problems.
Yes, Sam.
All right, fine. We'll have to look into that. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm great. Which ones give you problems when you look at
Multiplication, division, and fractions.
so multiplication, division, and fractions?
Yes.
All right. 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 Hello.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Fine, and you, sir?
I'm good. Which ones give you a problem over there?
Mostly only division, sir.
Only division.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Guys, one important thing, one thing that is very important, né? Please, and this thing is above all the most important thing out of everything. Please, guys, please. Make sure that you do take time to go over YouTube. The video is up there for you. So go over YouTube. And as I said, guys, my email address, I'll put it in the chat again. My email address is not just for you guys to send your homework. My email address is for you to tell me, what do you mean? Where do you meet a problem? And then I can give you stuff. I have a lot of things, especially websites and a lot of things that deal with on how to make things much more simpler. I have other things that I can give you as well. It's just that if I were to put all that I have into the PowerPoint, we're going to find that I have 100 slides. We're going to have 100 slides. So I can't put everything into one PowerPoint, but I can find a way of helping you if you contact me and say, sir, look, I am struggling. I'm struggling to understand this. I was getting this part. I was failing to understand this part. It's fine. We have a conversation. As remember, I always told you guys that I used to have a problem with maths when it came later on in life when I was doing something called functions. So please make sure you contact me. But it's fine. Let's start here. So I'm going to give you guys a quick 2 minutes to look over this and write if to write this down if you don't have it. Right. Quick few minutes. If you can screenshot, please screenshot. If you can write, please write. Please. If you can screenshot, please screenshot. If you can write, please write. Write what is a prime number, as I explained now. So a prime number, right? When we have something that we call a prime number or something that is prime, right? When we speak about a prime number, we are we are speaking about a number that can only be divided by 1 and the number itself. So we're speaking about numbers that can only be divided by 1 and the number itself. Those numbers are what we call prime. So when someone comes to you and says, what is a prime number? You say that we're speaking about numbers that you can only divide by 1 and the number itself. So even if you try and divide the number by any other number, it does not give you a perfect division. Factors are now looking at, when we're looking at numbers, like for example, let's look at the number 24. And we ask, what are the factors of 24? In my mind, when I look at what are the factors of 24, I'm thinking about what numbers can I multiply together to give me 24. Like for example, 1 times 24 gives me 24. Perfect, right? 1 times 24 does give me 24. And then when I look at saying 1 times 24 gives me 24, what else gives me 24? 2 times 12. That means that 2 times 12 are 2 and 12 are factors of 24. 3 and 8. 3 and 8 are what also factors of 24. So you think about those numbers. That must always be playing in your head to think about what numbers can I multiply, or when you multiply together, give me this number. Hence, those are called factors. Then multiples are just results of counting on. When I count in 6, the multiples of 6 are when I count in 6 and I count on 6, 12, 18, 24, etc., etc. Those are results of counting on. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Right. Now, one thing I want us to think about. Remember when one time earlier on, I just wanted to emphasize this, the adding and subtracting of fractions. But remember there was a time earlier on we spoke about what a fraction is a part of a whole. Is what we use also to represent. And then we spoke also on adding. When you add fractions, you only add the ones with like denominators. When they have unlike denominators, you when they have unlike denominators, you need to change the denominator in order for them to be like. Then after that, that's when you only add the fractions. That's what we spoke about the other time when we did fractions, right? So, okay, I've seen that I've been told I'm going too fast. I hope you guys are done writing this part, the slide. As I said, this is I also been up last week. So if you're with us last week, you must have this. It's simple like that. If you were with us last week as well, you must have this. I gave time to write this down. I'm only giving courtesy because I know that there are some people who might have not been with us, and this is going to be in your test. Right. So when we look at a fraction, right, something I'm going to touch on tomorrow, I wanted to go on this because I feel that this is also going to be very necessary for you guys to know as well. But when you look at a fraction, and remember when we represent a fraction, right, we can have a circle. I ask, what is the representation of the shaded area? As we've done before, what is the representation here of the shaded area? If it's 2, we're going to say the representation is actually 1 out of the 2 pieces shaded. So this is stuff you're also going to find in your test. Not going to be very difficult. But the one I wanted to also overemphasize was, when I reflected, was I want to overemphasize also the part about adding and subtracting fractions. Because that is going to be also very crucial. Adding and subtracting fractions, right? And you know that you only add and subtract fractions that have the same denominator. we only add and subtract fractions that have the same denominator. And we only multiply and divide. You don't really divide fractions. It's wrong to say that we divide fractions, but we only multiply and divide fractions that are we only multiply fractions. We don't divide fractions. Needless to say, the denominators are the same or they're not the same. Right. So having that in mind, let us actually go for a question. Because I want us. I have 4 and 3 here. What is my first step? What is the first question I ask myself before I add or I subtract the fractions? What is the question that I ask myself? First question that I ask myself. You do not need to write down the information there, but what is the first question I ask myself in a fraction? When I'm looking at this part here first, what is the question, the first question I ask myself? What is question number 1? What is question number 1? What is the first question I ask myself? Let's talk. What is the first question I ask myself? Before I do anything, what is the first question I ask myself?
Hello, Sam.
Hello,
How are you, Sam?
I'm excellent, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Sam.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. What is the first question you ask yourself when it comes to fractions? What is the first question you ask yourself?
Sam,
What is
I
the first?
think the first question you ask yourself is
Yes.
if you're going to need to multiply.
I'm like looking at addition and subtraction of fractions. What is the first question you ask yourself? Think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it.
You ask yourself, is
Yes.
the denominator the same or the numerator?
All right. That's the whole thing I wanted. Beautiful. The first question you ask yourself is, are the denominators the same? Before you go anywhere, the first question you ask yourself are the denominators the same? Am I dealing with the same denominator? If I'm not dealing with the same denominator, what should I do then? What should I do then? What should I do then? If I do not have the same denominator, what should I do then? Let me find out. I get to the point where I said, I found out that denominators are not the same. What do I do next if I find that? If I find that now denominators are not the same, what do I do next? What is my next step? What is my next step? What is my next step? I find out that my denominators are not the same. My denominators are not the same. What is my next step? What is my next step? Plan A of me just adding the numerators won't work out. So what do I do? What do I need to do first?
Find the common denominator.
Exactly. So my next step is to find the common denominator. So there are 2 ways in doing it. Sometimes when the numbers are really small and when normally multiplying with a number that is prime, right? When you're multiplying with a prime number, you can just say the lowest common denominator would be 4 times 3, right? Which is 12. Or next step, you can list your multiples. Start with 4. It's 4, then go to 8, then go to 12, then you go to 16, and then you're like at our dear friend 20. You're like, hello 20. And it's like, hello, how are you? And then you go to 3. Then after 3, it's our dear friend 6. After 6, it's our dear friend 9. After 9, it's our dear friend 12. After 12, it's our dear friend 15. Don't do that. It's our dear friend 15. After 15, it's our dear friend 18. Right. Then you go to the next step. The next step is now, what do I do? Which numbers here common and the lowest? Circle. This side is 12. This side is 12. That's how you find your lowest common denominator. Then you ask the next question, because guys, all you're doing is that you're trying to get from here to here. This is when you actually do the question. You don't really do the question at this part. You're trying to get from here to this part here. So for this part here is the actual thing that changes things for you so that you can move from here to here. And now what happens is you ask yourself a question. Well, how can I change 4 into 12? I multiply by 3. How do I change 3 into 12? I multiply by 4. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. 15 times 4 is 60. 15 plus 60 is 75 over 12. How many times does 12 go into 75? 6 times. Why? 6 times 12 is 60. No? No, 6 times 12 is, it's 72. Plus 3, 75. 6 times 12, 72. Plus 3, 75. You are done. Finito. You are done. No more questions, no more problems. You are done. Your question is done. So all you needed to do was move from here to here. So this part here, guys, is the process of changing the fractions. Because the question is asking you to add fractions. Yes, you convert, but the question is asking you eventually that you must add the fractions. That's what the question is asking. The question is asking that you must add the fractions. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Anyone with a question? If there are no questions, can you please put in the chat that you understand? Can you please put in the chat that you understand? Can you please put in the chat that you understand? If there are no questions at all. If there are no questions at all, so I can move right along. Because in your test, if I can just give you tips, in your test, you will find that it does speak about representing, right? And just the little basics about fractions. But one thing that is also crucial, because I don't want to give you everything, is that you must understand multiplication and addition, the addition and subtraction of fractions, and multiplication and division of fractions. That's one thing you must also understand. That's why today's lesson is about that. So we can see the gaps we have in fractions. Because I know most of us can represent a fraction. We've gone through that. But I will touch on it. But I want us to see the gaps we have in fraction. Hello?
Sir, I don't understand it.
You don't understand. All right. Right. Please write this down. I'm going to do one more question. Please write this down. I'm going to do one more question. Please write it down. I want to do one more question. I'm going to do another example now. Please write this one down. You have 2 minutes. So 9:29, you must be done. 9:29, you must be done. Please, with the highest of haste, please make sure that you have this done. Please have it down with the highest of haste. Please have this down. All right, so I see it's a mixed reaction. Are we done writing? Because now it's 9:29 and we only have 10 minutes left, guys. So are we done writing? Are we finished?
Sir.
Then please write. If not, screenshot. Not if you're not done, please screenshot. Please, 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 please. Please let us finish. Can you please also tell me in the chat if you are done? Good. As long as you guys are getting there, I'm happy. I'm happy. You're making me a happy person. You're making me a happy person. You're making me a happy person. Right. Right. Awesome. Let's go to the next question. About this. Right. Let's do this one. Right. Question number 1. Let's do this one. Question number 1 is, and guys, make mental notes. Right? Make a mental note. Question number 1 is, what should be done here first? Question number 1. What is my problem? Why can't I just say 5 plus 15? That's question number 1. Why can't I say 5 plus 15? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. Good and
I'm
you?
good. I'm well. So why can't I say 5 plus 15?
Because a small number cannot add what a big number.
A small number cannot add. No. Why can't I say 5 plus 15? Look at the numerators.
Because denominators are not the same.
Good. So What must I do in order to get the same denominators? Next question for someone else. What must I do as a learner in the class to get the same denominators? Hello? 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 All right. Hello?
Hello, Sam.
Yes. How are you?
Fine, thanks, and you, Sam.
I'm good. So I was asking, what must I do in order to get the same denominator?
So you have to say 5 over 4 plus 15 over 2 times 2 over 2.
So what must I do to my denominators?
You must add them with your numerators.
All
I
right.
mean,
All right. All right. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. What I was looking for really was, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. We need to make the denominators the same. That's what we must do. Our mission now is to make the denominators the same. So I can either, sometimes some people would have said 4 times 2, right? And to get 8. But what if that's not the lowest? And I know that 2 is related to 4. Hence, I can think to say, but the lowest common denominator has to be 4 because 2 is related to 4. Why? Because the 4 is a multiple of 2. But to check that, I can write down the multiples of 2. I say 2. Then the next one is 4. Then the next one is 6. Then the next one is 8. Then the next one is 12. Not 12, but 10. Then my dear friend, 12. Then I go to 4. It's 4. Then my friend, 8. Then my dear friend, 12. Then my dear friend, 16. Then my best friend, 20. Then what do? I look for which multiple is the lowest and common, which is 4 and 4. Lowest and common is 4 and 4. Then what do I do next? Is that I ask myself, what must I, this is already 4, so I'm not going to do anything to it. What must I do to 15 over 2 to change it into something over 4? I need to change this denominator into 4. So I multiply the denominator by 2, and whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So 2 times 2 is 4. 15 times 2 is 30. Then I have 5 plus 30, right? Because now it's over 4 over 4. Then I can just add. Because now the denominators are the same, I can add the numerators. 5 plus 30 is what? 35 over 4, which is equal to 8 and 3/4. Are there any questions? Do we have any questions? Are there any questions? Because what I'm going to do today is that the classwork that was going to be for today is going to be your homework. Today's classwork is going to be your homework. I want to find out, are there any questions? Does someone not understand? Are there any questions that someone does not understand? Please write down this, and also after writing, tell me, do you understand or not? So that I can also know whether to continue and just give you the homework, or what is the next step. So are there any questions? Please, are there any questions? Are there any questions? Does anyone have a question? You can tell me if you are done and if you have questions. You can tell me if you are done and if you have questions. Or if you are still a bit confused. If you are still a bit confused. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? If you are done writing, it's good, but are we still a bit confused? Is anyone a bit confused or lost? All right. I want to find out what is the problem. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Sam.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm standing. Please tell me, are you a bit lost?
Yes. Why do we have to switch the denominators to the numerators and the numerators to the denominators? Because that part I definitely do not understand. And why do bigger numbers have to be on top of the smaller numbers?
When you're doing what? Are you speaking about division and multiplication, or you're speaking about addition and subtraction?
I don't know which one it is, but then I think that is naughty. But then I think that it was. I think it was division.
With division and multiplication, you do have to do. All right, go on. It's fine.
Naughty boy. Sir?
Yes. Yes.
Why do we have to? So why do we have to and why do we have what is it called again? Why do we have division if you do not use it? Because you just do multiplication. Seriously, why do you have to do that? Because why don't you just say that you do so that you do like dividing, because the answer might be
all right.
small. Sorry, sir, I have a brother in here, and he.
No, I understand. To save on time. I would want to discuss. Yes, I would love to discuss division and please switch off your videos, guys. Please switch off your videos. I'd love to discuss division and multiplication right now, but what I want to do, because we're looking at tomorrow, is just to make you guys have a full idea on the whole concept. We are still going to do some revision tomorrow, because the test, you guys, you do it at home personally, and then it's going to, after you do the test, is that when we're going to have a lesson on the corrections, right? But I just wanted you guys to be clear. I wanted you guys to be clear on the terms, in terms of fraction. What I'll do now is I'm going to show up your homework, because today's classwork is going to be your homework. Here is your homework. It's just 4 questions. And then part of your homework is, right, I hope we're listening. Part of your homework is that you look at number 1, writing your own steps on how to add and subtract fractions. That's one thing you do. You write your own steps. Secondly, you look at as well as representing fractions. That's very simple. For example, if I had 3, if I had 3, we can even touch on it tomorrow. If I had 3, what's going on with my PC? If I had 3 over 4, and I want to represent 3 over 4, right? All I do is I have a little pi over here. I cut it into quarters, and I know that if I'm talking about 3, that means out of the 4, 3 are shaded. That's not really a challenge. But one thing I want you guys to do is that look at this as homework, write it down now, and write steps. Each time you do it, write steps. What step did you follow? What steps are you following? Which is the LCD? Just like how we spoke about it now, so that you understand. Because once you guys understand and have the skill, mathematics becomes easy. But without the skill, mathematics becomes difficult. Remember, guys, maths is a skill. Above everything else you can do in your life, mathematics is a skill. It's a skill, it's a skill, it's a skill, it's a skill, it's a skill. Mathematics is a skill. Above anything you can do in life, mathematics is a skill. So for you to be actually excel in it, you must possess a skill. That's why when they say we're going for skills training, they're teaching you on how to do something. They're training you in order to do something. You're getting a skill yourself. So the only way for you to understand maths is to practice the skill and understand the skill to say, how do I actually use this thing? That's where the how comes. How do I use this skill of mine? How do I use it? Because I can teach you fractions and you say, but I don't ever use fractions in my life. I find it irrelevant. Then you're going to find challenges. But if you actually sit down and say, but which parts of my life do we use fractions? Then you're opening your mind to search for the different things that you find in class, in your mathematics class, outside. Like, for example, I always tell people that if you know your times tables, you'll never have a problem with sitting in front in a taxi. Why? Because you know, if someone brings 13 rand from the back and he says, we're 3 people, we're giving you 40 rand, we're 3 people, and we are all paying 13 rand a piece, you know that 13 times 3 is 39. So if they're giving you 40 rand, that change is 1 rand. And that time you're doing it at a hyper speed. Your calculations are less than 5 seconds. So please, guys, please, I do beg you, I'm on my knees. Make sure you understand the skill. But that being said, is there anyone who has a problem, who doesn't understand or needs help or anything like that? I'll put my email address again in the chat. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat. Please, if you are lost with something, you need help, you just need assistance, please, here's my email address in the chat. Let's have a conversation. If you are lost, let's have a conversation. If you are fine, let's have a conversation. Are there any more questions or add-ons or fine? Going once, going twice. Do we have our homework? Are we done writing down the homework? Because now it's time up. Are we done writing down the homework? The test is tomorrow. The test will be uploaded tomorrow. We're done writing down the homework and everyone is fine. I love you guys. Stay safe. Stay awesome. Goodbye. Bye-bye.